Welcome to the Bayou City Soccer Podcast. Whether inside or outside the loop, we are talking everything soccer in Houston. Y'all ready? Let's get it. What's up, Houston? Welcome to another episode of the Bayou City Soccer Podcast. As you can see, no Dustin, no Yoey. So keep your expectations kind of low, right, Christian? But how you doing, man?
I am doing great, man. I'm doing great. Honestly, I kind of missed it, but I mean, I'm glad the guys did a great job last week. So we're sorry. Like once again, sorry. We apologize to us.
Yeah, exactly. Keep the expectations low. We'll kind of try to keep it a short episode. We weren't really planning initially to record today, but I think we had to, right, at this point, because it was going to be difficult later on. We do plan to have probably a Houston Dash episode on Thursday and possibly even record a episode on Friday for Crossing Soccer Borders, talk a little bit about the games coming up for the national teams, the Nations Leagues. So we'll have Joey on that one for sure, probably Dustin as well. And then I'm not necessarily sure if I'm invited to the one for the Dash. I'm going to say can't. But if you see me there, it's just because we just got to get numbers out there, guys. But again, welcome to another episode. We hope that you guys are doing fantastic. The weather is perfect, man. It sucked to lose an hour, but you know what? I love the fact that it was like 9:00 and it's still pretty bright out there, man. So I don't know. Some people hate it, Chris. I don't know if you're one of those.
I went to bed. I went to bed without knowing. So when I woke up the next day, like I went to bed like maybe at 11, 12 o'clock. I was supposed to get up for work at 4, and I got up and I was like, oh, well, just regular day. And then I got into my car and then it had a different time. I was like, what the hell's going on? And then I kind of realized that the time had changed. So I ended up sleeping a lot less, but my body, since it didn't know that it was sleeping less,
Dude, that is such a smart way to do it for sure, dude. Because otherwise, and you just get so angry about it too.
Exactly.
But yeah, man, so many things happening. Obviously, a lot of people around the city are out in spring break. Dustin being one of them. The dude is like 60 years old, so he probably already fell asleep. Said he was going to join us. I think he took his family to the rodeo. Hopefully, everybody. I think it's a Houston tradition. Which, Chris, you said you've never been to the rodeo, man. What's that? What's that about? You've been here for like 30 years, bro.
I know, right? It's been here since actually 2000, so it's gonna be 24 years, and I've never been to the rodeo. I'm actually going tomorrow for the first time. I won tickets to the Bun B concert, which is gonna be interesting. But then Drake is also coming, so I guess it's a win-win.
It's gonna be crazy, yeah.
So it's gonna be, as the kids say, lit. And then I'm actually going to the Jonas Brothers concert because my wife, and so we're going twice in a week. And I'm already kind of counting my check to see how much leftover I'm going to have after.
Be smart. Spend it on the food only. The other toys and all and the things. You have kids, so they're going to want to get on all the carnivore stuff. But
it's only me and my wife. We're doing like dates. So there,
then you're good. Then you're good.
We're gonna eat before. So
I'm gonna be the romantic guy that is like, "Hey, babe, I'm gonna win a stuffed teddy bear for you. You win that Pikachu." No, don't do that, man. That's a waste of money. Go get some food, man. Go try out some fried Oreos. We have a couple people in the chat. Actually, Samuel Ayoka is sending a shout out to the Bowl League and Christian Putalia. So you're getting some love there. But yeah, if you guys have any I guess any suggestions for Christian to try in his first time at the rodeo going this week? So both of them are this week, you said?
Yeah, tomorrow, Tuesday, and on Friday.
Oof, okay. So yeah, tell him, let's see what we can convince him to try, man. Definitely get yourself. I'm telling you, the fried Oreos, I think it's a staple. There's one specific, like you'll see them everywhere. Dustin sent you a picture of the ones. Those, if you go to the one that he sent you, there's no line. Like it's kind of like a generic, but then there'll be like one like hole in the wall looking place that that's like the line is like 100 people. Those are great if you get there in time, but if not, then just go with the regular ones when the dinner.
And something also that I have never tried that I might try tomorrow is a Trill Burger.
Oh
So
yeah,
we'll see what happens.
yeah. The Troll Burgers are really good. The line is ridiculous at the rodeo, and that's why usually when we go to Show Energy Stadium and I decide to stay in the stands, the first thing I do when I get there, man, get in line. Except for last time, I got disappointed because there was like doing like 100 patties or something like that. I just said, I was like, man, really for the front office, give me one, dude. Just skip, do 15, give me one. Do 15, do another one for somebody. But anyway,
Right?
yeah, dude. Hopefully you enjoy it. If you would take your kids, you probably enjoy it a little bit more. But then they'll drive you crazy as hell. So it
Right.
will play there. If it's gonna be your first time, just so you don't ever come back. Good job not taking your kids there, brother.
Yeah, just this year, maybe next year, maybe next year.
But Chris, man, we probably gonna keep this episode a little short, not as long as we tend to do a whole
Yeah.
hour. But tell the people how they can connect with us, man.
Yeah, you can always go to BayouCitySoccer.net. That's the website. That's where you're going to find everything and anything that you might need, from all the articles, everything before the game. And then after the game, there's also kind of stuff that is going on. So tomorrow we have a match. So there's going to be, previews of that game, what to look for, scouting the enemy and stuff like that. And then after the game, you'll get ratings and kind of everything that kind of goes after the game. So check it out right there, BayouCitySoccer.net. That's the website. And if you for some reason don't want to go to the website, we'll send you we'll have the link on Instagram, on Twitter, and Facebook as well. You can check us out there at Bayou City Soccer. And everything that we do on the website is going to be linked to there, so you can just go click there and just go read all the articles that the guys are pumping out almost daily here. So check us out. Don't forget, if you want and if you can, buy us a little coffee. You can get drop a tip. That helps out with all the costs when it comes to all the website hosting and everything like that. So everything that you guys can help us out with goes a really long way. So thank you for that. And yeah, Ugly Guppy, check them out. They're always helping us out. So check out Ugly Guppy there, uglyguppy.com. So check out their website. If you need anything printed, they'll help you out for sure.
Yeah, no, good shout out to everybody, man. Again, this just being a short episode, just because the Tuesday game kind of ruins the plan to try to get a guest or trying to get an interview with the Dynamo, who again they've been so amazing, just providing some other players that have a little bit of time that can sit down with us and we can learn some about it. Hopefully you guys were able to listen to the last episode with Gabe Siegel. Of course, he is not related to owner Ted Siegel. So important. I think that's important, right?
It's vital.
He's not, there's no such thing as favoritism. So, that it's kind of, you got to get it out of the way there.
Right.
Everywhere you go is like, oh, he's my uncle. He's related to me. What is it? You can only go as far as somebody there, basically.
Exactly. No nepotism there.
But so the last game, obviously, no game in the weekend for the Dynamo. They took on Columbus Crew on Wednesday here at Shell Energy Stadium. Chris, you and I were there for the match.
Yes.
I would say the atmosphere itself was a little better than the other game against St. Louis. A little bit better crowd. Obviously, the game was at 7:30, not 9:30. Let's just go ahead and start, man. Obviously, 1-0 loss for the Dynamo. What are your overall thoughts of that match? What did you like? What didn't you like?
It was a pretty even game. It literally came down to the last play of the game, where Columbus Crew had one. I'm not gonna say lucky because it was kind of well executed free kick in a way. If you kind of go back and look at it, even Ben Olsen was asking the guys to kind of cover the guy that was up and opened up wide, and nobody really went out there to kind of cover him. So he got a free shot, even though it was a weird angle. And he did get lucky, putting that ball through the legs of Coco, which kind of deflected the ball. But I think overall was a pretty even game. Maybe it should have ended 0-0. Both teams had opportunities. Both teams actually scored, but what got called back because VAR. A lot of people obviously didn't like the results. Obviously, you're at home. The team hasn't been doing great per se, but then also you have to look at is the beginning of the season. You have a lot of injuries. Your roster is still kind of depleted in a way. It needs more, more work to it. And it's something that it's known. It's not that we were just kind of screaming to the wind. Ben Olsen kind of points it out every single time that he talks to the media. He talks about depth. He talks about obviously injuries, and there's nothing you can do about that. If guys just get injured, and it's just it's a long game. It's a long season per se, right? So talking about regular season, it's a long season. Obviously, this one is a little bit more vital because it's a win or go home. Going into Columbus, we have an advantage that we got some rest, so we'll see what happens there. But overall, the last game, I was content with it. Obviously, I would have liked a goal or anything like that, but I do feel like we still need some striker power, and that's what we like. We're able to get all the way to the box, but we're not able to finish, which is obviously if you want to win, you got to score goals, and if you don't have anybody to score them, then it's going to be difficult. But overall, for what we have on the field, and when you look at the bench, you're like, well, there's not much there either. Like there's a bunch of defenders, a bunch of center backs, and a bunch of younger guys that could come in, but I don't know if they're first team ready to play, a high level competition, quote unquote international or regional competition. So I'm content. I don't know if we're going to be able to pull off a win in Columbus, knowing Columbus has a really good squad, and talking to the coach and knowing the coach that they have, very tactical, very smart, very kind of, attacking forward, attacking minded guy. And they have the attackers. I mean, Christian Ramirez, Cucho, Rossi. I mean, the list goes on and on, but those are like the main three. So it's going to be difficult, but it's not impossible. At the end of the day, still a soccer game. We came out, against St. Louis. We lost over there. We won here. Obviously, this is the other way around. But at the end of the game, you still have to play 90 minutes, and everything is possible. Anything is doable. So.
No, that's for sure. I think a lot of the things that you hit are things that I was going to mention. Just the fact that, yeah, the season just started. You've lost a couple games at home that usually you didn't lose, especially last year. You can on the game on Wednesday against the Crew, it was extremely noticeable to see Ben Olsen's reaction to getting that last minute goal. The dude was kicking, punching everything inside. Just it was one of those that it's so frustrating to go the way you did, especially the goal, as you mentioned, being a deflection. Even then, you didn't get the luck of it being a deflection and the ball going out. It ricocheted off of Coco Carrasquilla and it goes in. For what the team it looks like, we know that Hector Herrera was the MVP of the team last year. He should have been closer to being the MVP of the MLS. That wasn't the case, but you can see how he's so vital to this team. But even without him, they've looked so good. I think I was very, I'm trying to think of the correct word, but I'm not pessimistic by any means, but I really thought that they were going to lose every single game till basically they could get the hang of it. And that hasn't been the case. They've been staying with teams. They've played very talented teams. Obviously, Sporting Kansas City, it's always been and a good team and has a great coach. St. Louis City, obviously a newer team, but they have a lot of great players in there, and the Dynamo were able to hang and get that win in this competition. And then you go against the Columbus Crew this time around. That it's good. Oh, and obviously New York Red Bull, same thing. It's a team that looks way better than they did last year. They only added like 2 or 3 players, and it has changed what that team looks like. But the games that the Dynamo have played, yes, they've lost at home. A few of them is not great, but it's not like you're seeing the team get destroyed at home. They're not losing 3-0. They're not getting embarrassed. They're staying with teams, and it's really incredible to see that. In the Columbus Crew, they're the champions of MLS, the reigning champions. Their team is just stacked. I was able to talk to some of the guys that cover Columbus Crew, and the way that they saw the team was that they were thinking that it was going to be heavily rotated from the first match, and it wasn't. I mean, he played Wilfred Nancy basically played his best team, apart from maybe one or two. Obviously, Kucha started off the bench, but you had Rossi in there, you have Nagby in there, you have Morris in there. The whole back line was the starters, including the goalie. So they weren't afraid to put their best team, and they came into Houston with a very nice climate compared to what they did in August, like at 100 and something degrees. And the Dynamo hanged in there. And so I think if you're a fan of the team, you should really feel proud of just kind of what's out there right now when they're showing, because anybody else, you lose your best player and you lose. Yeah, I mean, you can even see it if you want to take it like Miami. Miami would have Messi. It looks completely different when with Messi, and he's not even out for the whole season. They just have to rest him every other game, basically, so he can kind of make it through the season. But you go through some of the teams that have lost some of the starters. Again, take Sporting Kansas City last year. They had like 3 or 4 major injuries, right? And they lost the first 10, 12 games of the season. So the
Yeah.
Dynamo are not there. Obviously, the expectations are really, really high. But at the end of the day, you do have to take each tournament and kind of break them down and partialize them into what they are, specific tournaments. So you take away what happened in the regular season doesn't really matter, because this game against the Crew is a knockout game. So you got to win. That's all it is. We were able to talk to Vin Olsen. He was fired up. I mean, the guy is a passionate, person, cares about the game, wants to win. And so all he sees is we just have to win this game. There's nothing else. If we lose, if we tie, it's game over. We have to win this game. So um I guess taking it into the predictions a little bit, Christian, you mentioned that you don't see it happening. And it's fair. I think it's difficult to see the Dynamo go into any away field thinking that you're going to get a result, just because the history of it hasn't been there, especially when you go to a place like Columbus. The game is going to be at 6 o'clock their time. And I still expect that stadium to be full when the whistle blows. If not, at least people are trying to trickle in from their parking and all that stuff being after work hours. But it's going to be a completely different vibe, something that sadly has not happened in Houston. I mean, the crowds themselves are so meh for a lack of better words, but it's something that it does matter. And I think maybe the atmosphere being a little bit heavier on the Dynamo, and I'm not saying that supporters don't show up, because if anything fills up in the stadium is the supporter section. But at the end of the day, you need to be able to surround your team with as many fans in the field, and those games in CONCACAF and international play are just so important, man.
Yeah, I mean, to me personally, I think it plays a big factor, like having the people around. Obviously, it's one of those $1 million questions that literally everywhere we go, me and you, we've been to like 2-3 different podcasts, or we've done different podcasts or different shows around the city, and that's the question that we always get. How can the Dynamo get people in the seats? How can the Dynamo, how I know how to reach people? You know what I mean?
Hey,
And it's just,
let's keep that for a little longer. Let's go finish.
no, yeah, yeah, yeah.
There's a lot to touch on that, man.
No,
I think
but
we have to. I think we have
my
to.
my real point was going to be that, going back into the game, that Columbus Crew having their people with them, it might be, it's going to be a giant factor there. And not only that, having just the crowd at home, and Columbus, like it or not, has become a soccer city in Houston, not Houston, in the United States. Like, you have a lot of USN mentee games there. The national team plays there a lot, and it's become a stronghold when it comes to soccer. Obviously, it helps that they don't have a lot of other sports kind of running around there, but here in Houston, we compete with a lot of stuff. But going also back into the game of Ben Olsen, Something that I wanted to kind of talk about or just kind of put out there is the fact that Ben Olsen, since he started, and it's something that we talked about, not bad, but we criticized what's his Nagamura on, was the fact that in 37 games or 38 games he had like 30 different starting lineups. And we have the one thing that I guess we could say about Houston Dynamo is that they have consistency, and maybe not in the starting 11 right now because of all the injuries and everything like that. So obviously there has to be rotations, especially with so many games back to back. We've been playing, Saturday, Friday, Saturday, Wednesday, like midweek and weekend games, like for the past month, basically. Like this first few 4 or 5 games have been kind of back to back with only 2 3 day rest. So you got to rotate. You got to make sure the guys stay healthy. You got to make sure there's a little bit of rest, and physically and mentally and everything that kind of goes along with that. But one thing that does not change is how the team plays in the field. You know, who's gonna, whoever gonna set up on the field, how they're going to play. The wing backs are gonna go up and down. Dorsey is gonna attack. The left back might come in a little bit more to kind of have a line of three in the back in a way. That who's ever opened up on the left is gonna stay wide. Whoever's on the right is gonna kind of trickle into the middle a little bit more, usually being Coco. The guys in the middle are gonna be solid. Arthur, Jan right now, and Hector Herrera whenever he's around. Those guys that's where the balls are gonna flow through, and then it's gonna open up. That your number 9 has to be a hustler. Corey Baird was that last year, and as much as me personally, I didn't like him and I didn't like his game. You had to give the men props. He would chase every single ball, and he would make runs into the space. And at the end of the day, if he had to score goals, he would score. He would miss a lot, but then he would score a lot. And that's what you wanted. You wanted chances. You wanted to create chances to hopefully, put those in the back of the net. And one thing that we can say, even though we did have the Sebastian Ferreira injury, is that, Siegel, for being a young kid, 22, not out of college, but, he's been around the block a little bit, but not, super experienced guy, but he's a hustler. Ben said it, and we've been repeating it ever since. He's a pain in the ass for the opponent. And every time, I like to kind of look at different players off the ball when I'm at the stadium. And when you look at Siegel, when he's off the ball, he's always looking for the space. He's always looking to be in between the center backs. He's always looking to make the run. And then you have a player like Ali Yu who, at moments you don't even know what he's playing, but then whenever you see him in his comfortable spot, which is on the wing, you see that guy growing little by little, kind of what we saw with Nelson Quiñones, that he came in and he was still kind of like a young buck, and you're like, why is this kid playing? And then progressively, as the season kind of kept going, he kept growing and getting better and attacking more and going one-on-one more and just kind of gaining confidence in the league. And I think, as Ali Yu keeps scoring and he keeps, receiving balls from Coco from the other side of the field, he's going to continue to grow and continue to, better his attack and hopefully, better his finishing. That's always something that we criticized him a lot last year. He wasn't able to finish a lot playing as a number 9, but on the wing, he has been finishing. So it's a work in progress for sure. But at least, the Houston Dynamo has an identity. And as much as we want to talk about all the other issues that we may have, me personally, I'm an old school guy when it comes to soccer.
He's
and I
like
like
30 years old.
Yeah, I know. I'm about to turn 32 in next week, but I always like the fact that when you look at a team, when you hear a name of a team, you know what you're looking at. It's not like what's there. I feel like everyone in the league that hears Houston Dynamo knows exactly what they're going against, and it's like we got to try to beat that. Yeah. And the Dynamo is not like a pushover team anymore. I feel like
it's not your what is it, your daddy's Dynamo anymore. It's not. They're different. You actually feel it. Obviously, first year was great with Ben Olsen, and then now starting a little bit rocky. But again, it's to be expected. You really have no designated players out there. Your captain is out injured. There's just a lot of issues. But one great observation that you have is the fact of Ali playing on the wing. He's just been very good. He feels comfortable in that role in comparison to playing out right as a striker. But Christian is saying mojate, like Cesar says, right? What do you think the scoreline is against the Columbus Crew tomorrow, man?
It's funny because as much as I say that I think we're gonna lose, my prediction, because I'm gonna go with my heart, says that we're gonna win 2-1.
I'm not gonna say my heart or not my heart, but my bold prediction early in the preseason was that the the Dynamo would go. I think I put would win the Champions Cup. So because
Dang.
of that, I'm gonna stick with it. It worked for the U.S. Open Cup all the way when I that was my prediction. So I have to rock with it. It's only one goal. The Dynamo are not out. One goal difference. They can do it if they and they planned it well. Again, that goal that ricochet of Coco. How often does that happen, right? Just a rare.
Yeah.
So but guess we're going to stay positive. I'm sure if we had Joey and Dustin, they'll probably be a little bit more negative. But we'll let them predict it on the article tomorrow. But I'm not even sure what the result would be. I guess at this point, even if it's 1-0, that we're going to extra time and probably penalties. Maybe that's the way it goes. Or 2-1 outright would be great too. 2-0 would be fantastic. But I think the Dynamo win it. Christian, let's just go move on to the next game, which is happening on Saturday. We'll see if you're in my prediction are correct. Then we will see them play the first week of April in the Champions Cup. Otherwise, we'll see kind of what happens. That tournament disappears from our scheduling. But now they'll be playing again at home. So a lot of home games. You hope that the team doesn't drop any more points. This time they'll be visited by the Portland Timbers, who tends to always put up a fight and take some points away from Houston. So, um, Portland, another team from the West, unlike the rivals that the Dynamo saw in like New York and so forth. But Portland is currently in first place, man. I mean, it doesn't tell you much, but that just means they haven't lost a game. They have two
Yeah.
wins, a draw. It's a good team. Obviously, the first match they beat Colorado 4-1. They tied at home against DC 2-2. And on their first away match before the Houston, they won in New York 2-1. So it's not gonna be easy by any means of the imagination, by any stretch of the imagination. And hopefully, which I didn't mention, but Aliu and per Van Olsen, the squad is healthy. Aliu is good. Sviatchenko's good. So obviously, I'm sure we'll probably see them play on Wednesday. So now, do you rest players if you make past that stage? Probably you'll see some rotation.
Yeah.
Um, but the kicker is gonna get a little bit difficult because a lot of the young guys from the academy and just young guys in the team, they're already trying to trickling into Houston Dynamo 2, who'll be in action as well on Sunday. So
Yeah.
the good thing is that I believe they play at home on Sunday. So
Yes.
you can still have those short term loans and not necessarily have to worry about having to fly someone in. But Christian, let's skip the shenanigans on what do you think the Portland looks like, this and that. Just let's just shoot from the hip, man. What's your prediction for this match?
I'm gonna keep it 1-1. Just kind of, even though they are a high scoring team in a way, they scored four in the first game and then two in the last one, I think away. They do have a lot of star power in the front. I think it might be just 1-1. And if honestly, if we lose, if we win against Columbus and then we lose against Portland, I'm okay with it. To be honest, like you said, rotation of players, I wouldn't be mad at all. But if we do end up losing against Columbus, then you got to go all out. But I'm still gonna say 1-1 just because of the great moment that Portland is kind of going through, and just I guess basic 1-1.
I'm with you. I'm gonna go with a draw as well. It's been difficult to predict who scores for this team.
Yeah,
Aliu has gotten a couple. Seagull scored one as well, but it's just difficult still. I think the connection between Coco Carrasquilla and Ibrahim Aliyu has been fantastic. Probably one of the best connections that we've seen this season.
Yeah,
Sebastian Kovacic has been playing very well.
very well.
Basi is not looking like Basi from last year yet. It could be because he was out for about 3 weeks,
Mm.
not seeing any competition in the preseason. So you hope that all these guys, apart from the guys that need to get healthy, like Ferreira, which Pat Onstad mentioned that he had maybe 4 weeks or a month or so to come back. The Hector Herrera, it kind of pisses me off that there's not a lot of information on him, but everything just tells me that he had a knee injury, that he's going to be out. Even if it's a minor meniscus surgery, you're going to be out for a little bit. So,
Yeah,
um, and am I missing? Oh, Quinones. Quinones is out for a season, so
yeah. He's
we
calmed down.
don't know. But at the end of the day, the transfer window is still open. They've been talking about the fact that somebody's coming in, 1, 2, 3 players. Who knows? At this point in the season, you just want them to pick players that could come in and be beneficial for the team. You don't want to do a lot of hit or misses. Even if you get 3 and 2 hit, I think that's a perfect ratio and not
Yeah.
getting a bunch of taguinos out of YouTube, my brother.
Yeah, and well, kind of going into that Dynamo Dos thing, it's gonna be interesting because that whole squad also has been renovated completely. And I think nowadays they're going to be putting it to use in the way of developing players, right? So they're going into Honduras once again. They got this kid Exxon, I think his name is, from Honduras. I believe he's from Honduras. And then,
Yeah.
if I'm not mistaken, they did get
It's
somebody else.
Exxon Arzu is his
Yeah,
name.
and I think I'm not 100% sure right now, but I think they did get a kid from South America. I want to say a Colombian kid. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I just made that up. But uh, yeah, yeah. No, I'll just lie. Nobody cares. Nobody's watching anyways. But
Only me.
only a good amount of people. Shout out to everybody. Hey, if you guys are there, leave a little comment. We'll read you out here. By the way.
Yeah.
But what was I gonna say? Okay, so yeah, our whole renovation. So shout out to Nick, the GM.
Nikova. See, I
Nick,
remember now. I remember now.
there you go. I remember
Last
his first name. His last name is just kind of isn't the
Koba
Kovac.
sounds cool. I think Koba
Yeah,
is such a cool last name.
it is pretty dope. Not gonna
Right?
lie.
Koba? Koba.
It's just strong, right?
Yeah.
Like he's putting a good team together with Coach Kenny. Man, we miss Kenny.
We get
On
we get Kenny conversations with Kenny on Friday, guys. So if
oh, there you
shout
go.
out to all the hard work that Chris puts on the YouTube to upload
Yeah,
all the pressers from pre games and post games. So if you haven't already, this is a shout out.
check
Go
it out.
look for BayouCitySoccer.net. You'll click on, I think it's all the way at the bottom. You see all our social medias, including YouTube. Go to YouTube, watch the presser from today. Make sure to subscribe, like, comment. Yeah. The more you do that, the more that we know what you guys are looking for, the more content that we try to give you guys. So, anyways, little segue on that. Christian, continue.
No, yeah, and also if you have, I don't know what you guys call it, foot mob, fop mob, whatever. But most of the articles there that they show on the news section for the Houston Dynamo is a bunch of
And the
our
dash,
articles
and the
and the
dash.
dash as well. Yeah, so go check us out over there. If you have the app, you can always check out our stuff there. So if you ever feel like, it's like I wonder what the Dynamo, what the situation is. There's probably an article. We probably thought about it, and one of the guys, came up with something and found some information here and there. So go check that out. I forgot what I was talking about. Oh, Dynamo. But it's gonna be a whole reset of the whole team. So all of the other older guys have moved on to other MLS Next Pro teams, or in the case of Talon Maples, shout out to him. Congratulations on his baby. He went to New Mexico, and he's
Following
playing.
Joey, man.
Shout out Joey Chavala.
Hey, but
Uh,
here, let's go ahead and talk about
yeah,
Houston Dynamo too, man. They're playing on Sunday, March 17, against Sporting Kansas City 2 at 5 o'clock at SaberCat Stadium. I talked to my account rep, since I do have season tickets. They said that you don't need a ticket, like you don't need a physical ticket. You just show up, they let you in. So
Yeah, it's
I
free for
don't.
everybody.
Yeah, so free for everybody. So make sure you go check it out. Go. Those games are fun, man. They really are. I try to make it to a handful of them every season. This is year number 3 for them. So go out there, check out the players, the Dynamo, what future players.
Yeah,
Um, so
potentially.
potentially, but again, you're absolutely right, man. I'll let you continue building on, but whole new roster. A lot of the guys that were there are no longer there. They've moved on. There's only 1 or 2 kids from the Houston Dynamo Academy that are still there. But yeah, it's going to be a completely different look to them.
Yeah. And that's kind of what you want to see. I was reading an article today, well, not an article, but it was like a little short kind of article, and they were talking about how one of the lifelines of of a club, other than transfer markets. Obviously, if you're the way that you buy and sell players is top notch. Obviously, there's probably not a lot of need for your academy, because you're just used to spending money. Shout out Man City. But if you have a really good academy, look at other, teams like Portland, SKC, like teams that are just pulling kids literally not out the ass, but just taking kids out of the cantera and just kind of moving them up. New York City
Hey,
also
where'd
did
you come from? Oop, oh, there you are.
right. Seattle. I mean, look at teams like Seattle. And like last year, they were playing a lot of those kids from Dynamo, from their 2 team. Look at Columbus. They also had a bunch of kids. I think their goalkeeper now came from their 2 team. And it's a good way to get prospects and just kind of players that are going to make it, eventually, especially if you get them, 16, 17 years old up to like 20. I would say, after that, if you're 21, 22, 23, you should be breaking into the first team. Uh, Past 24, you probably should be somewhere else. And that was kind of like the issue, and in the first couple of years. But then also, when you look at the first couple of years, it was a team basically put together by Kenny, right? So Kenny just got a bunch of his guys that they actually came through. 2 pretty decent seasons. The first one was a lot better than the second one, and now they're putting the head to work and the way of scouting and the way of going out there and actually looking for guys, not only in the academy itself, coming up. There's a bunch of kids, there's one of the kids that just went to go play with the Mexican national team
Yeah.
U17.
Mhm.
you know and it's those guys that you kind of want to see, what the future is going to be, because if Mexico
Yeah.
is looking at
Well,
that and
those are the guys that you need to be investing. Obviously, your academy.
exactly.
At the end of the day, the academy. I've said it and I've said it again. When it comes to Dynamo 2, I'd rather see a bunch of 17, 18-year-olds from Houston get
Yes.
playing time, even if they're getting killed 5-0 every single game. To me, they're getting experience and at the end of the day. So one thing, from the past 2 seasons, there's a lot of guys, from college, and they're maybe mid late 20s already, that it's difficult for them to get any kind of pathway into the first team. It was going to be difficult, and
Yeah.
sometimes it sounds harsh, but they have to move elsewhere, and that's what happened big time this season. Like
Yeah.
you mentioned, like maybe Talon Maple, Jacob Evans, Papa Ndoye, like all those guys that were fantastic. They're great. We were able to talk to a bunch of those guys. But at the end of the day, the idea of what Dynamo 2 provides, it's a pathway for the young guys in the academies to move into the first team. And,
Yes.
when you mention other teams around the league, like the Dynamo's arch enemy and FC Dallas, they do that very well. Sporting Kansas City does that very well. I mentioned about how they had so many injuries last year in the first third of the season. Guess who trickled in? Their academy players. And now those guys stole minutes, and they were able to not get rid of, but move away from like players that have been there forever, like Graham Susi or Roger Espinosa, those legends, club legends that at the end of the day, eventually their time is up. And you are just hoping that you hit in a couple of the academy guys that can come in and take those positions. That's what you want. And
Yep.
so the way that it's set up right now under Van Olsen, who did a great job in DC as well in their academies to slowly trickle in players, I think you're just hoping that those benefits come true with the academy, man. But again,
For sure.
they'll be playing on Sunday. Go to the games. Go Saturday. If you're still hangover, man, just walk to Saber Cat Stadium. Make it to that game. Be loud. Especially the first game. Show them some love. I'll try to see if I can be there. I'll try to see if I can be there, and I'll try to make it out to this first match on Sunday. Chris, again, there's soccer everywhere. Houston Dash are well as back. We definitely won't deep dive into them just because the guys are planning to have a Houston Dash roundtable discussion on Thursday, I believe. But just to at least just give some information on their game, they'll be playing away on Saturday at North Carolina Courage at 6 p.m. So it'll overlap a little bit with the Dynamo game. So if you like watching both, you'll catch that beforehand. If you guys go and tailgate with El Batallon, with the Search, 689 Army, I'm sure they'll be playing those games around Shell Energy Stadium. So go ahead, go out there, enjoy those games. It's fun to have soccer, man. We're gonna get busy. We've talked about this ourselves, just trying to cover all the three teams, and then we have Copa America, and then we have other stuff kind of happening around. But just really good stuff, man. Overall, Christian, before we not in, we are about 41 minutes in. Anything else you want to add regarding any of these three teams before I go into a little bit of a rant?
No, yeah, just the Dash have. I think they have a watch party right at Kings Court, right outside the stadium of Shell. So it's literally right across the street. So if you guys are looking for a place to go watch the game, the initial game, if I'm not mistaken, Bayou City Republic, who is their main supporter group, will be there. Hopefully,
Yeah.
But I think the team is setting up something there. So go support the ladies, away from home, and hope them, wish them the best. And I'm looking forward to what the other guys have to say about the team. And I know they kind of rebuilding the roster a little bit, and new coach, new everything. So it's gonna be a fun season for sure.
Yeah, no, well said, Ben. Again, we just want to end it shortly, but I do want to hit on something that Christian was talking about earlier, that it was just about getting people into the stadium, the marketing aspect of the Houston Dynamo. I myself, I am a season ticket holder. Dustin's a season ticket holder for the Dash. Manny has tickets for everybody and their mama, but he's a proud Dash and Dynamo season ticket holder as well. Joey would be too if it wasn't like a 3-day hike. Actually, probably more than that, right?
Right?
A couple weeks. But yeah, maybe a week. And so there's quite a few of us in Bayou City Soccer that do have some stake when it comes to the fandom. And myself, since I've joined Bayou City Soccer and Dynamo Theory, I've kind of moved away from that stadium and fandom, but I keep my tickets. I give them to my dad. We try to give them away so more people can enjoy those matches. So we're doing. I want to believe that we're doing a little bit of our little, what is it, grain of sand.
You're doing a lot. The fact that you're paying money for tickets that sometimes you don't even use,
All right.
and you give them away so other people can experience it. You're marketing 101 for the team right there. So
Dude,
shout out to you.
yeah, I mean, so we try to so people can go make it out the game. We randomly pick people, but if we get lucky and pick somebody that's never been, we don't know. But if somebody's never been and they enjoy the game and then they decide to come back later on, dude, that's great, right? But one thing that you were just mentioning was just how can we not get that stadium full? It's understandable. Again, those midweek games are difficult. I mean, they're difficult. We're a city that blue collar city. I want to believe most of us just work hard, long hours. It's difficult, especially during the week, to make it into those games, make it into downtown. Kids gotta go to sleep, man. My kids go to bed at 9. Actually, you know what? My bedtime is at 9:30, so I was struggling that day that we went. But at the end of the day, I just feel like there's something lacking with the marketing aspect of it. I don't know. We've kind of discussed it internally in our group just because again we see it as well. And this is not to bash on the Houston Dynamo football club as a whole. I think since Ted Siegel has taken over as a majority owner, he's done a hell of a job. Something, in 3 years, this guy's turned what the Dynamo look like. But like anything, there's gonna be good things, there's gonna be bad things. One thing that I see, and talking from experience, whenever I became a season ticket member holder for the Dynamo, the team, it wasn't trash. It was 2017 where they made into the playoffs. They have obviously really good players, and 2018 was my first season, and obviously there's a trophy won there by the Dynamo. Um, and the fans, there's people that go to those games. They weren't necessarily full, except for maybe a couple of the clásicos or the Texan derbies, um, and stuff like that. But they had the 713 nights that brought some people in to an extent. They've actually spent a lot of money renovating the stadium and putting a lot of premium seating. And I think that's also the difficult part because you look around during those games and all the premium seating there's nobody there. I think people are getting outpriced in some of that. So little things like that, but apart from just that specific thing, and I think this conversation, funny enough, I was gonna have some sort of rant. It was kind of in my head and just fueled 2-3 weeks ago, and unfortunately, we know what happened, losing Maggie, and that just kind of changed everyone's. I mean, shit, it changed everyone's life, for it, and um, but now going back to it and seeing how the gifts that were being given to members, um, little things like that, the diehard people are spending big money. And I'm not saying, I mean, yes, I have season tickets, not even close to some of the premium sittings or just other sections of people that spend a lot of money on their tickets comparison to me. But so even those giveaways, man, those giveaways were cool. So, to a lot of people, they look forward to it every year. Those bucket seats bucket hats, sorry. People really loved them for what it was. I remember there was a couple hats that they were well done, but I think it was a big miss this year with the hats and some of the um what was the other thing they gave away? They gave away a scarf. The other thing was a scarf. But one thing that we talk about, that I was talking about with you guys is, whenever you have something that just flat out says member, no one's gonna wear that. No one's gonna that. It's not cool. You know what I mean? Like it. It really isn't. And so whenever those pass, and like 2 years ago, whenever the Bayou kit came out, which it was 2 years ago, they had a plain hat with the Bayou looking shade underneath, the logo in the middle. It was a really badass hat, because nobody else has that hat. But whenever the some of those giveaways that you're doing, I get it. You're trying to show the people, hey, this guy's a member. But no one's gonna wear that. No one's gonna wear that. And it just like, man, really, like, and you can see, and it's not um the fact that I'm complaining about it, because I'm still gonna grab it and probably use it. But I know that's what a lot of people feel, that it's just they missed the mark on that per se. And as well, there were so many rewards, there were so many things that you could do. I remember again, like for instance, 2018, when I would look forward to going to the games, there was like an app that it was a reward app. You like check in, you get there early, they give you like 500 points, and you're like, damn, I made it, and eventually you accumulate enough, and that you can be like, oh, I can go into the tunnel, or I can watch the team practicing up close. There's so many little things that you could do that made it made you even invest more of your time or more of your money into the hobby that you had following the team. And I think that they're just missing it right now, and I don't understand necessarily where the disconnect is. But just being in like the Houston Dynamo big group on Facebook and just seeing people just I wouldn't say talk shit. They're not. They're just saying things that they're seeing and how they were season ticket holders for 7 years, and they're seeing the lack of benefits from it in the last couple years, and they're not season ticket holders anymore. And it's just a lot of it is just kind of hit or miss. And of course, there's still going to be the diehards. They're going to go no matter what, of course. But again, so for people that could see it as like, hey, I'm putting some money, what benefits do I get? And some people see that, right? I mean, like anything, dude, you can go go to McDonald's, you get yourself an app and just get a ton of points, or Chick-fil-A, get a ton of points. Like it's just things like that we're wired like that nowadays to do that, and we're just starting to not see it. And there has to be a way to kind of put that together. And I'm not saying to give tickets away for free. I don't think that's going to work. The 713 nights, I understand why they didn't do it, because at the end of the day, you're devaluing a lot of your tickets. And you would see it, right? You would look, and only one corner where the 713 tickets were full, and everything else was still empty. So it wasn't like you were helping fully to sell the stadium. It was just the cheaper tickets were the ones being bought. So there has to be something. But what I wanted to ask you is the fact of something we touched in the past of just why are the team, and this is not purely the Dynamo guys, this is the Dash. There's like no connection, I think, with players and with the fandom and some aspects, when they could take full advantage of it. I mean, right now that the Dynamo had a bunch of games before the Dash season, why not have the Dash players out there signing autographs, get to meet them? Like, you already taking advantage of, there's people at the stadium, I know they're there. I mean, we all follow them on social media. They're posting that they're at the stadium. You can have them signing autographs. You can have them kind of take pictures with fans, get people hyped, get people to know them, because a lot of people don't know there is a Dash team. They don't know any players. And if there's no connection, then they're never want to be interested in going. And all of this going to little things we've seen, because again, me and Christian were out last week. We were at the Rockets Stadium, and we saw, I don't know if you saw it, Christian, but just walking around the stadium, there's a lot of things like that. A lot of like things that grab your attention, and whether they're doing autographs or uh enter a raffle to win a Dynamo retro kid, whatever it could be. There's just so many things that they could do that does not take $1 million to do. You're right. And the hardest part, and I'll end this before I'll let you go into a 10-minute rant if you want, but as a salesman, not that I love being a salesman, I hate it actually. Engineer by trade. But it's so much harder to bring back one of your clients after you lose them than it is to like keep them, if that makes sense. It's, if you just gotta work it, man. Like, you have to be able to give them some good benefits, be able to keep people happy. The wins were there last year. You could have kind of done something with that. But now, the Dynamo lose a couple games and everybody loses their shit. So it's it's one of those that there's a lot of things happening. But Christian, you've talked about like how Acha showed up to a Michoacan or whatever it is, but they could do that anywhere. I mean, they can go to both league. They could go to leagues around the city and maybe showcase some other players, Dash players. It does not have to be purely, again, unless there's a contract that says they can only go to Dynamo Academy locations. I think you're narrowing down who you're trying to bring into the stadium, in all honesty, man. And I mean, I remember that when Rodrigo was in high school, his coach apparently was good friends with Brad Davis. Bro, this was like in 08, no, 09. I have no clue who Brad Davis was, in all honesty. Like, I followed the team, but at that time I was more into Chivas and the Liga MX. So I knew who Brian Ching was. I knew who De Rosario was, but I was oblivious of who Brad Davis was, who was obviously a great player. But he came into like their I guess team season kickoff night, and he brought the trophies with him. And what the craziest part is, everybody's taking pictures with the trophies. They never one took a picture with the player, but it gave everybody an idea of like, oh, we have a team here, like,
Championship team.
right. And I could see all the kids that took pictures with it, and some of them are still Dynamo season ticket holders, or
Yeah.
they go to games. So it just, I don't know, man. The marketing just need to get better. I don't know if you have anything to add, man. I don't want to put you on the spot. I know that I've been kind of rambling for a little bit, but do you?
No, yeah, just use that to your advantage. I mean, what works the best is just having the players go out. I mean, it's something that I did a little interview with Eddie Robinson a while back, like a couple of years ago, and he talked about like they would throw him in a van and just kind of ride him around the city for a while. Obviously, it was a different time because maybe the city didn't know that there was a new team, but I mean, you go now to certain places and they're like, wait, we have a soccer team. And it's like, bro, we've been here for 20 years. Like, where you been? You know what I mean? So it's kind of crazy that, there's still kind of places that are kind of unreached in a way. And it's wild because there's only one way to reach them, and it's just take the players out there. I mean, the players are always talking about, oh, we love Houston. And this is not a diss to the players, right? Because I don't know how, the same thing. We don't know how it works. We don't know if, contracted, whatever the word is, contractually, they're not able to take them anywhere. I don't know, safety. I don't see what could happen to them. But
Wait. This is the perfect example. Last time, you and me, bro, we were walking in the stadium, and who did we see? We saw Sebastián Ferreira.
The DP striker. Not one person cared
not
for
one person looked at him. Not one person was asking for pictures. So it's crazy that not even like your big stars or big name can be recognized in their own stadium. Yeah, some issues there, guys. So, that's kind of, again, there's a lot that you can do. A lot of things that I feel are not necessarily, you don't have to do fireworks and all this crap all the time. Like, it's very simple. You just try to have to introduce the people, and it's a very grassroots aspect of it, that if you get involved and just go to a park somewhere or go, and again, I don't know who all the sponsors are. I don't work for the Dynamo, the Dynamo, and it's like in contracts of popular belief, we don't get paid by them to talk about the Dynamo, right? But we're here to get the people the information, discuss the games. But at the end of the day, as Houstonians that live, here and breathe and live the city of Houston, we want to see the team succeed, especially the ones that we're covering. So we just want to see the stadium full. I've always said that, man. I don't care to be famous. I really don't. Christian,
I do, but it's different.
Christian charges $5 a picture, and nobody. Come on, guys. You guys need to go get a picture from Christian at the game.
Oh, look at this.
Yeah, for real.
$5.
He's a handsome, good-looking dude. Come on, man.
That's what mom says.
It's like a face only a mother can love, right?
Right.
But no, yeah, no. In honesty, I think last year we did see a lot of the legends of the Dynamo come out and take, and which is, I think that's fantastic. Hopefully,
but only we knew who they were. Like the new people have, like nowadays you see Eddie Robinson, 2-time championship. Like you see, even Bonilla Garcia, like a star he gets stopped by a lot of Hispanic people. I'll give you that. Because Hispanic people tend to do that. But like, there's a bunch of players. Who's the other guy? I always forget his name. He did the games with Glenn Davis last year.
Boswell, he was there. Yeah,
Boswell. He's always there, and like Ching is always there, and he gets a little bit of love because obviously he's a little bit more recognizable. But I mean, if you don't if you weren't there in the beginning, or if you don't know about about the legends, then you just kind of walk by them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I feel like it's gonna be the same thing with these players. Like, get them out there, just have them. You don't even have to sign an autograph. Just have them go take a picture or two.
Yeah, and again, to me, the big disconnect there is just you have a Dynamo team and a Dash team. You could have taken this Saturday for people to, like, a few of the players to be out there doing autographs. You could have taken them on Wednesday when there's the game on Wednesday against Columbus. Just put a a table, a couple security people, and then just let them sign autographs. Let them
Yeah.
be able to interact with some of those players, get to know them, you know, shake their hands, take a picture. Like it can go a long way, especially for the younger crowd that would maybe see it more of like an awe moment. You know what I mean? Like more of like, oh my god, this is a player that I saw on TV playing in this tournament, and you'll gain a lot of that fandom from the young fellas. And I think a lot of this because of the articles that we've been doing with orange or behind the orange lenses, and talking to some of the guys that have little kids, and those little kids are the ones that kind of have brought the parents in. You know, they may be in the people themselves may be in their mid 30s, around 30s and 40s, but their little kids are the ones really want to be into the team and pushing to go, and they don't really care, if they win or lose. They're there to have fun. But if you're able to interact with some of the players, like that what was his name, Angel Garcia, he said like how his daughter loved interacting with the Dash players. Maria Sanchez signed a couple autographs, gave her a pair of cleats, so did Ebony Salmon. Like, I mean, granted, not everybody's going to have that same interaction every single game, but if that does kind of happen, do you become a fan for life, right? I mean,
Yeah.
you would have died if like Roman Riquelme would have given you a shirt, bro. Like, you already love him without even meeting this guy.
Imagine.
So imagine if you would have walked 2 feet away from him.
Yeah.
Te cagas.
Literal.
Yeah, but
no, but yeah, it's true. I mean, that was a huge missed opportunity. Now that you mention it, I mean, just having a week away from the game, just getting that soccer crowd that's already there, letting them know, hey, like, we're starting our season. I mean, let's be honest, their crowds they're not huge,
right?
And you need all the support that you can get, and when you look at the names and the star power that Dash have, like, I mean, they have Mexican nationals. They have American nationals. They have Canadian nationals. It's like, bro, you have a full team of nationals, like teams that are playing in the, like players that are playing the Gold Cup right now, like fully recognizable international players. And you're not just, I mean, I don't know what they're doing, but just it's not enough. Like boots on the ground. I mean, the digital content is great. In my opinion. I mean, all those little videos that they do. I don't have TikTok, but I'm sure the TikTok is blowing up. A lot of good TikTok content and, just like a bunch of those little videos. I mean, that's great, right? But to a certain extent, like the some people just want to have that interaction one-on-one, and it's something that, will make you a fan for life. I mean, we know how people are, and like when you meet a player, you're like, whoa, that's awesome. Like we went to one Rocket game, and I'm like, I should probably keep up with the Rockets. You know what I mean? So it's like one, and it was like, one game up in the nosebleeds, very grateful for the tickets and the experience and everything that we do.
And TUDN Radio en Enganchados.
Clip it. But I mean, when you look at the whole experience, and you saw, I mean, just to kind of go behind the scenes a little bit, but we got tickets to go to the Rockets, and then we had like our own private Q&A session with two basketball players that, me personally, I don't follow basketball, so I don't even know who they were, but they're not the stars of the team. But gracious enough, they were there to like talk to the people, and you had people that didn't even speak English, and they were grateful for the opportunity. And the Rockets, they just created 10 new fans, and some of them had their kids, and their kids now are going to want merch. And, they're going to follow the team, and maybe they're going to play basketball. And, just you move on. You create new fans. You create new, quote unquote customers, if you want to see it as a business.
Yeah. And they were both rookie players. It was Amen Thompson and Cam Whitmore, if we're going to drop names. So.
And everything kind of boils down to loyalty, making loyal fans, loyal customers. Because at the end of the day, the team doing good or bad, the loyal ones are the ones that are going to go out there and support. You're going to have your shit talkers. You're going to have the ones that, oh, the team is losing. Oh, fire everybody, bend out and pat out, and idiots, right? I'm sorry. But like, there's people that, still have loyalty, and still have loyalty to colors, and still have loyalty to the city, and just put them out there, bro. Like, to the city, for the people, to the people. we pride ourselves as a blue collar hustler team. Like we have it in our slogans: hustle for more. Hold it down. Like okay, well then be that. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? If you're gonna claim you're hustling, well then go out there and spend 5 minutes with a hustler at a Kroger, or they can't go to HEB, but go to Kroger or wherever the Fiesta or wherever. Like just go to a Sunday league. I mean, these guys ain't doing much on their day off.
It's a Houston is such a soccer city, man. There's soccer
Everywhere, dude.
loving people everywhere. You go, you're just amazed. Every time I go somewhere and they're like, I'll be the only one there. No, there's another 60 crazy people watching the same game that I am,
Yeah,
minimum, right? More sometimes, depending where you go. But it's there's always gonna be people. There's literally supporter sections for pretty much every EPL team out here in Houston.
yeah, bro. Take them to a
There's
bar.
there's so many supporter sections, supporter groups for like La Liga teams, right? The Atletico Madrid, like the big ones, Barcelona, Real Madrid. Like there's just such a massive fandom, and I feel that you're not tapping where you should be tapping. And again, we talked about the whole hip hop part of it. I mean, we get it now why they did it because they were pulling in that purple jersey, which is great. I mean, I like it, but at the end of the day, like, who are you really tapping in that are going to come and fill the stadium up, right? And that's the untapped potential.
And also I just want to give a shout out. I don't know if they know or whatever, but so Victor, I forgot his last name, but he's one of the guys that has the or leads the Barcelona Peña here in Houston. And then I know Juan also leads the Real Madrid Peña. And those guys, like, I've talked to them before, and they actually go out to the games. I think Victor's part of Texan Army, but imagine the crossover that you could have by having, a random player just go watch a Barcelona game with Victor and his 100 dudes that go out to a bar to watch a Barcelona game,
Yeah.
or go out to watch a Champions League game on a Wednesday afternoon after you practice. I mean, I don't know when practice is, but you're gonna be watching a Champions League game anyways. Whatever, just drive one of the guys out to, whichever bar, Juan and his. I mean, I went to the Champions League final when they played Liverpool in a little ass place, and they fit like 300 people,
Right.
wearing white shirts. And you're like, damn, that's crazy. Like, and there's from different nationalities. Like, there was Colombians, Cubans, people that just were Real Madrid fans and probably had never been to Spain, or maybe will never go to El Bernabeu. And you have Shell Energy Stadium 10 minutes away. Like, it's like, bro, like, these guys are diehards. Obviously, Dynamo is not Barcelona, Real Madrid, but I mean, there's a crossover of football fans in their city. I mean, these people rep Houston as much. I mean, they have it on their signs, Peña Houston, Houston for Madrid, or whatever it may be. Like the Houston Citizens. I mean, the Man City group that also carries a lot of people. Like, there's a bunch of people that in their own supporter group still claim Houston. There's also a giant bar for Manchester United. Have somebody go out there and be like, hey, I play for the Dynamo. I know I'm not, Rashford, but come out to a game, sometime.
Yeah,
I
no,
don't know.
no. I agree because I was the last thing I was going to mention. It's obviously there's a bunch of bars like around the city, right? You have the whether it be Pitch 25 people is not the only one, by the way. You
Yeah.
can't get out around town, but Phoenix on Westheimer, it's another very good one, and obviously all the ones that sponsor Glenn Davis. If you guys want to sponsor Bayou City Soccer, let us know. We would love to have it. But I was gonna say Phoenix on Westheimer to give him a shout out. Fran Alonso, the new head coach of the Houston Dash, he made it out to go watch, Celtic get, play. So you can do it. Do you want to do it? That's the difference here. But
He's building bonds like with people. They're like, hey, you're one of us. And it's like, since you're one of us, we're gonna support you. That's the way that I see it. I mean, a lot of these people, maybe, how many Hondureños you see go to the Dynamo games just because an Hondureño was playing?
Yeah.
They could maybe give two shits about the Dynamo, but they're like, you know what? He's my fellow countryman. I'm gonna support my people. Let's go out there.
Yeah.
And and that happens. They're like, when Seren was here,
not
they're
when
like,
Seren, yeah,
that's what they were like. That's our captain, bro.
And
Selecta.
that's perfect example because they play 2 weeks from now, El
Yeah,
Salvador against Honduras.
it's
I
gonna be
put
packed.
money that's going to be a sellout game, and let's
Oh,
end it with that.
1,000%.
Let's
Thousand
end it.
percent.
Let's end it with that. But Christian, man, it's been a great conversation, bro. Hopefully, this rant does something, man. I don't know who listens to this.
Yeah.
It probably will fall on deaf ears, but you know what? I think it's things that we need to mention and be a little bit of um critical, I guess, right? Just a
Yeah,
tiny
you
bit. I
have to.
think
Yeah.
some constructive criticism, it's always is great, man. So yeah, I am proud of you. Said love the content, keep it up. And then they say great podcast. So I'm
Thanks,
proud
man.
of you. Thank you so much for that. And everybody else
Proud
that
of you.
joined. Yeah, we're proud of you. But Christian, man, tell the people how they can connect with us, Ben.
Yes, I was gonna say something, but I forgot. But we're gonna keep it moving. At Bayou City Soccer, man, you can check us out. Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. Go check us out. The YouTube channel is always banging as well. If there's something there that is not there, let me know. I'll try to find it and put it up. Sometimes I forget, but I have cool people that remind me. But BayouCitySoccer.net is also the website. Go check everything out that we have over there. We have cool merch as well. Rep the city there. We have all the articles that the guys are posting up over there. We're following Voltly, we're following Dynamo Those, we're following Dash, the Houston Dynamo, of course. And there's a bunch of stuff going on over there. If you have it in your heart to buy us a little coffee, there's a tab there so you guys can support the movement, help us out over there. Shout out to Ugly Guppy. They're also one of the supporters that kind of keeps us on the air, as they would say. But we're always looking for people that are willing to contribute and make this a better project. We're here for the love of the city, the love of the sport. We're combining those two. So, if you're out there and have the same passions and you want to help us out, we would love to have you and we would love to shout you out as well. So, BayouCitySoccer.net, check us out. Rudy Segura 3 or 3. Chris Putalias, don't forget, check out Joey, check out Dustin, check out Manny, check out Billy, check out Aldo, check out everybody that kind of helps us out, Francia. And just everybody on the team, thank you for your help and support. BayouCitySoccer.net.
This was supposed to be a short episode, and I think it's been the longest one so
that's-
far, guys. So
that's
with
always-
that, don't forget to hold it down and keep it forever orange.
Yes, sir.